So we're just going to go for it right now, and we will give people a chance to come on in. We want you guys to say hello in the chat. We're still in Denver. I guess you guys can tell that.
Yeah, we're still
we're still in Denver. So, hi everyone. This is Halisi,
and this is Ric from our Black Utopia.
We talk about money, travel, retiring abroad, and generational wealth. We help folks who are close to retirement and forgot to plan get their money straight so they can retire on time.
And maybe even early.
That's right. That's right. So you see who is on screen with us. We are so excited.
Special guest.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So the first time I talked to her, just one-on-one, I did the sycophanty thing because, it's me. And she said, can you say that on air? Can you say that live? So I'm about to say it. Miss Adalia Aborisade of Picky Girl Travels the World, you changed our lives. And thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, but I'm just excited because this woman lives life on her own terms, all right? She has taken control of her life. She has lived in 5 different countries, and she is the expert who knows how to do this thing right. So without further ado, hello, Miss Adelia.
Hello. That is quite the introduction to have to follow. But if by chance there's somebody watching who is not familiar with me, as you mentioned, most people on the internet know me as Picky Girl Travels the World. I am a financial educator. I've been living abroad for 5.5, almost 6 years, I guess it is now. And my main focus is to help Black women live the life of their dreams, to live life on their terms, and to help them do that by helping them understand their money and be financially confident in the decisions that they make. I live currently in Mexico City, in my opinion, the best city in the world, with my 12-year-old miniature schnauzer.
I love it. I love it. And her name is Mia. Because I'm a sycophant, I know that. So we're just going to get started, and we're going to start with, we're going to go why, what, and how. That's what we're going to do today. All right. So drop your questions in the chat. I do have questions. I was asking folks all week long to put questions, and so I have questions that I've written down from Facebook. But if you have questions that you've just thought of, drop that in the chat. I'm not seeing any chat come through, but I do see folks watching. So I hope that folks can hear us and that you can drop things in the chat and let us know what you're thinking. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is why. Why would someone even consider retiring abroad? And I'm going to let you go first, Adelia. We will talk a little bit about why we are considering. And before I forget, I want to make sure if you can put in a private chat your checklist, your checklist to move abroad, because that was the thing. I was like, okay, I donated. I'm like, okay, just for the checklist alone, girlfriend, here's a donation. So why retire abroad? Uh-oh, you're still muted, babe.
Can you hear me now?
You can.
And hopefully I'm not still echoing.
We can hear you just fine. You sound great.
Okay. The primary reason to move abroad, God, that is driving me crazy. Hold on a second.
Go for it. Do what you need to do. And in the meantime, while she is checking her sound and everything, I'm going to talk a little bit about why we decided to move abroad, because we have been talking about this off and on since, at least since South Africa.
Yeah.
Right?
Easy,
and
yeah.
so we, as you guys know, I had a fellowship in South Africa and was sent there. Well, I wasn't sent there because we paid for it, but went to South Africa to teach entrepreneurship for a month. And in between teaching entrepreneurship, we toured around the country, and we were in Cape Town, we were in Stellenbosch,
Joburg.
and we were in Johannesburg, and then we also did a safari.
Yep.
But we also shot a short documentary and talked to a lot of the Black and colored, which we would still consider Black here, but they don't. Black and colored folks in South Africa, and learned a lot, saw a lot, fell in love with the country, and just started saying, we could live here.
There's other places in the world to live.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring Adelia back. It looks like she is settled. And then we'll continue with some more whys in a minute. All right.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay.
We
I
can.
still have it.
Yeah, we do not hear it on this side.
Okay. The people in the audience can let me know.
Yeah.
There is an echo on this skin, even when I remove my microphone. Well, we will power through it. The main reason to live abroad is, for the most part, lower cost of living.
That's it?
That, for me, it was two things: lower cost of living and the ability to have health insurance without health care without going bankrupt.
That thing right there. So I got a thumbs up from someone. All right. So tell us, when you say not go bankrupt, now we hear the echo, not going bankrupt from healthcare. Talk more about that.
In the U.S., hold on, I'll try one more thing.
Bear with us, folks. This is what we do, right? That we live.
This is live.
We're live, just doing the thing, right? Well, I'm going to tell you. We're talking to the expert.
We're good.
Yay!
No, we're not.
No,
We're good. But whatever. I'm sorry, y'all. I am so sorry. Normally this does not happen. I have no idea what is causing that, unless you would like me to leave the stream and pop back in.
You feel, if that will make you happy, you can feel free to do that, and we'll go on with our talk about South Africa.
Okay.
And then also, because I'm still not seeing. Okay, all good. Yeah. I'm still not seeing
roll with it.
a lot of chat. All right. So talk about the healthcare system. What about healthcare? What do you mean?
The thing for me was most Americans do not realize that they are one health emergency away from bankruptcy. That is the fact of the matter. The way the system is set up in the U.S., you don't know what it's going to cost you. You're going to have to fight with your insurance company to cover, or how much are they going to cover? Will they cover it immediately? All of that sort of thing. Outside the U.S., healthcare is generally seen as a right, not a privilege. And so I wanted access to that.
That's what I'm talking about. And the thing about it is I don't think people realize, Adelia, and I have been dealing with, so a lot of you know that I have become an unintentional caretaker for my dad. And Adelia and I talked about this a bit before. The healthcare system here in America is designed to bankrupt you and to make sure that you leave this planet in poverty. And so, like, when I say leave it in poverty, when we're talking about, if you think you're one of those folks who might need long-term care and you don't have insurance, You could save $100, $200, $300, $500, $600,000. The government will make you spend that money down before you get any help for long-term care. And it's anywhere from $6,000 to $9,000 per month for long-term care. So anyone who gets dementia, that's 25% of Americans, higher if you're Black because of the stress of racism, dementia, vascular dementia, or Alzheimer's, right? You're going to need it. Not to even say anything physically that happens. Or, here she's back. Or if you are in an accident and you get, injured or something like that, like when you got into your accident, right? Like this system is not set up for folks to preserve wealth, much less pass on generational wealth. And we are all about passing on generational wealth.
Definitely.
Yeah. How are we sounding?
I don't know. Y'all tell me.
You sound great.
Better,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry, y'all.
It's all good. It is all good. So, one of the things that we were talking about was, how if you need long-term care, how it's going to bankrupt you here in the United States, how it is designed to make sure that you spend down every single penny that you have saved up. All of that, because what do they tell us to be responsible, right? Save a certain percentage of your money. And I think they tell us that, Adelia, so that they can take it back at the end.
I have personal experience with that. My mother had a stroke in her late 50s and was unable to return home. She needed to go into long-term care, and I couldn't pay for it. I had three kids at home. Worked a full-time job as a public school teacher. There's no way I could come off an extra, $5,000-$6,000 a month.
Right.
And so in order to qualify for Medicaid, she had to be destitute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she had a home, didn't she?
Yes. Now, in the state of Texas, she was allowed to keep that. But if she rented it and made any money, that had to go to pay for the care.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. See? And had you already been thinking about living abroad at that point, or was that a wake-up call?
Living abroad was always something I wanted to do and thought I might eventually do. At that point, I wasn't sure how any of that would work. But after going through that with my mother and traveling, and I also taught geography, so I knew a little bit about how other countries ran. And then after being divorced and being on my own, I was like, okay, so if I've got to navigate older age alone, it would be better to do that somewhere I could actually afford health care.
Yeah. I cannot say that my dad's issues were a wake-up call necessarily because we were already thinking about it, but it certainly drove it home. It certainly drove it home, right?
Yeah.
Because that was one of your main concerns was healthcare.
Yes, always, yeah.
Yeah. So, and Ric has a pre-existing, so, and we can talk a little bit about, I was reading about the pre-existing in Mexico. So, Adelia, if you're just joining us, hi, welcome. This is our Black Utopia. We have Adelia Aborisade of Picky Girl Travels podcast and Picky Girl Travels the World YouTube channel. We have dropped her Move Abroad checklist in the chat. If you have not gotten that, if you are even thinking that this is something that you might think you might want to do, get the checklist, because I'm telling you, there are things in there that we just didn't consider.
You don't think about it.
Because if you haven't done it,
You go abroad, you usually in vacation mode, in vacation mind. So it's no big thing, everything is taken care of and this and that. But when you move, it's a whole different story. It's a whole different mindset that you have to have.
So I think two questions that his statement brought up, Adelia. What are the biggest differences between like bopping around for a month and then moving, and then the difference between moving and retiring abroad?
Just bopping around for a month.
Or
That's really more on the extended vacation side of things. Your travel insurance, your travel health insurance will cover you. You don't have to think about things like contributing to retirement within that country, paying taxes within that country, that sort of thing. But actually moving, whatever travel health insurance you get, that's not going to cover you. If you are working in that country, there may be tax implications. There may be, you may have access to whatever the national healthcare system is. All depends.
Yeah.
As far as moving abroad versus retiring abroad, there are lots of people who move abroad, and the intention is to just do so for a few months, a few years. They don't intend to age outside of their home country. Maybe it's a job transfer. Maybe it's I've got to come back because I've got an aging parent to take care of, or whatever. When I left, my intention was not to return.
Okay.
How come?
My first thought is to say I didn't see the point.
Okay.
But I can't afford to be retired in the United States and live at the level and do the things that I want to do. And I realized that at 41.
See, I'm sorry. I got you. Yeah, at 41. And I wish, we talked about that too. You said there's something magical that happens when a woman turns 40 and big changes. Yeah, Rick remembers coming and seeing me crying, but what did I do? So you made some great moves when you turned 40. When I turned 40, I went and spent money and got us further into debt by getting a master's degree.
I did the same thing. I went to graduate school.
But you didn't pay. You went for free. You were smart.
No, I did not go for free.
Oh.
I paid for it.
Oh. Undergrad,
was like my third attempt at graduate school. No, undergrad was free.
Okay.
But not graduate school.
Okay. So I'm seeing there is a bunch of stuff in the chat. Why it is, I'm in the private chat. That's why I can't see it. Okay, I'm still learning, folks. I am still learning this technology. So I see Venus. Oh, Kirby. I know who that is. So I just got to pop some things up because I'm like, I see people watching. I know we ain't here alone.
Hey, Courtney.
Oh, so Courtney did hear an echo. Let us know if you're
she
still.
Said it went away.
They're still hearing it. I'm sure. And I'm apologizing again for that, y'all, because I can't figure out what's going on.
Interesting. Okay, so we were talking about this a little bit. Thanks, Art. So for Portugal, because Portugal is on our list, and y'all know that we will be in Portugal in June. And so I've been studying Portugal for about a year and a half now. As soon as you get temporary residency in Portugal, you have access to their universal healthcare system.
Yeah.
Before you get that residency, or in order to get the residency visa, you need to have private healthcare insurance. And so in my studies, I found with our age, with Rick's pre-existing, etc., I found health insurance ranging from about $60 per month to $200 per month. Full healthcare with dental, and one of them came with mandatory renter's insurance for that amount of money. Yes, for that amount of money. So 2 people, totally insured, Cadillac plan for $2,500 per year.
Yeah, you couldn't think about getting that here.
No, because see, I live in Colorado and we are an Obamacare state, an ACA state. And so I'm on the expanded Obamacare, and my state pays about $580 towards my health care. And we still could come up off of another $500 to get the best plan here in the United States. So, and what is it like in Mexico? Because Adelia has permanent residency in Mexico.
One of the things I did when I turned 40 was get divorced. And that meant I had to start paying for my own health care. Just to cover me was like $600 a month, $300 a month, something like that. It was ridiculous. And again, I'm a public school teacher. In Mexico, there is private insurance. There is, I can't remember what it stands for, but it's called IMSS, IMSS, which is kind of like sort of between private and state run.
Okay.
When you have residency, you can become part of that system for something like $400 a year.
Right.
And that was my plan. And then there is another system in Sabi, which is sort of like universal.
Okay.
But the quality of it, if you're coming from the US, you probably don't want it. But that is free, and that will cover pre-existing conditions.
Okay. And is that the one where your family has to bring you the sheets and the
Yes,
meals?
it is. Because they won't admit you to the hospital without people, because they are only supplying the bare minimum. My plan pre-pandemic was to get on the M system. But I arrived back here July 2020. I could see that the system had been overwhelmed. And so I looked for private Mexican insurance, which you can only get if you are a resident or a citizen.
Okay.
And I pay about $1,400 for the year. Can you still hear me?
We can hear you great. Yeah.
Okay. I can't hear you though.
You know, I just rebuke all of this technological difficulty.
Okay.
I got excited because the echo went away, but then I couldn't hear you.
I just rebuke it in the name of Jesus.
She rebukes a lot.
I rebuke a lot in the name of Black baby Jesus. All right. Let's continue on.
I got the plan. Here it is probably not as good, or at least the plan that I paid for is probably not as good as what you're getting in Portugal. I don't believe they would cover pre-existing, but they also didn't require anything other than my word that I didn't have a pre-existing condition. And I could upgrade my policy, but I just needed something to get me covered and something that I would cover COVID.
Right. So you said you came in 2020. Where were you before that?
Before that, when I lived in China, I had health insurance.
Where were you living? Where in China?
In a small town of about 8 million people called Hefei. It is about 2 hours away from Shanghai, between it and Wuhan.
And did you like it?
No. I didn't like China. That's a very
That's a whole different topic.
Yeah, but no, I was never a fan of China. Hefei was okay, but not any place I was trying to be longer than I had to be there. But I had employer insurance.
Okay.
I refuse to use it because the level of, how do I put this delicately? I don't know if I can.
Just
Let
say
me
it.
just say that the level of hygiene I was witnessing did not give me a great deal of confidence in the medical situation.
Do you want to give us a for instance?
When you get a work visa, you have to have a physical before you come, because they won't let you in if you're sick. They won't let you in if you're pregnant. But then you have to have one when you get there.
Okay.
There were no gloves. Nobody was washing their hands. They were checking me and then some random strangers, like going down the line. You had to give a urine sample in a bathroom that had no toilet paper. There was no sink.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
So, and because this was a small town, having a doctor that actually spoke English was next to impossible. I have 4 words of Mandarin. That was not going to work.
No. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm not a germaphobe,
I wouldn't either.
but I'm just saying. So yeah, I would, we do want to enjoy our older years, which is why we're having this conversation. And we want to do that and be able to do things without having all of our money go towards healthcare. So it's unfortunate that is one of the bigger drivers. Okay, I'm hearing echo is fine. That was a bit ago. I'm trying to catch up here. I've had to stay legally married to. I know we said we were talking about how to move abroad, but one of the reasons is healthcare, and and this has been an ongoing, especially with the Rona still going strong. Although when I go into Target, you would never know because I'm the only one wearing a mask.
Yeah, they're not doing that.
I don't know what's going on, but one of the major drivers has been healthcare. It really, really has. And then the other thing is just the politicization of everything. Like, since when is a mask and protecting one's health political?
Since
You're
2020.
right. You're muted, Adelia. I just don't know.
I said that.
Right. So I'm not sure. So Courtney is our daughter. I'm not sure what she's responding to. But Adelia, she is about your age, so that just lets you know that you are young enough to be our daughter as well, and you are teaching us. So, all right. So before China, she's got a timeout. Okay, we are going to talk about the pros and cons of what you should consider when you're moving, as well as how does one plan emotionally. And it's kind of interesting because my mom called me last night. And she was talking, she just called me randomly and she said, so in Puerto Rico that the Puerto Ricans treat Black Americans like crap. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. And I said, oh. I said, well, we took this cruise right after they had the hurricane, right?
Hurricane, yeah.
And so a lot of Americans dropped out of the cruise, and the cruise line offered a huge discount to Puerto Ricans and other islanders. And so this was the best cruise. It was filled with all these brown people and Black people from the islands, and so we were put at a table every night with 2-3 Puerto Rican couples. And some spoke a bit of English, some English, etc. So we became friends with all of them because every single night we were having dinner with them, and some of them we're still in contact with on Facebook. And so I said to my mom, I'm like, I didn't have that experience with Puerto Ricans. I said, are you talking about Puerto Ricans who grew up here in America? She's like, no, in Puerto Rico. I was like, oh, okay.
Has she ever been to Puerto Rico?
She'd never been to Puerto Rico. I said, okay, Mom, that's nice. And she said, yeah, I guess I just don't want you to move. So when you're planning, that story was to say when you're planning, there are pros and cons when you're planning to retire outside of the country. Your family is going to give their 2 cents. I'm not sure why my mom brought up Puerto Rico, because in my mind, Puerto Rico is America. That's not moving abroad. And right, geography teacher. And so she got Portugal and Puerto Rico.
My own child. When I told her I was moving to Honduras, she said, "Oh, you mean Mexico?" And I said, "No, the country of Honduras." And she's like, "Yeah, Mexico." No, different place.
Different place.
And this is the daughter of a geography teacher.
Yeah, neither of my children got that part from me.
So you moved to Honduras in Central America. So tell us about that. Why, what, and how?
I moved to Honduras for a job. So that's the why. I guess and kind of the how. At the time, my youngest was 15, so she came with me, along with Miss Mia. And yeah, the when, why, how.
You brought your daughter with you. For those who are in the chat or watching this in the replay even, who think that they cannot move abroad with their child alone or married, tell us about that, because I'm in several Facebook groups and other chats where I hear, yeah, but I'm a mom. Yeah, but I'm a mom. Or yeah, but we're parents and we're going to wait until XYZ.
Originally that was my plan. But I just kind of realized like there was no point in waiting. I didn't see the point. I really didn't. And I think it would have been detrimental for me to stay.
Let's talk more about that, because we moms, and sometimes dads too, because I've heard the guilt, Daddy. We are so fixed on making sure that everyone else is fine and okay, sometimes at the expense of ourselves. And so I can hear, my son told me that if I adopted a child, he would divorce me. And do you know, I listened to him like a fool. Anyway, so I could hear a 15-year-old girl saying, but I got cheerleading, or I've got this in the junior prom, or this committee and debate team, or whatever her thing is. And, so how are you asking me to give that up?
I pitched it to her like it was going to be, what do you call it? Study abroad for a year.
Okay.
And I told her.
We hear you fine. How did she respond to that?
She didn't want to go at first. And she was like, okay, go, do your thing. I think she and her dad had a difference of opinion about something. And she was like, hey, is that offer still there? Can I still come with you? Because when she declined to come with me, that did not change my plans. I had even asked if there were specific countries she might be interested in, and I could try and find a job in one of those countries. And no, she wasn't interested.
She wasn't interested. And so, but she did end up going with you. It's funny because I had my parents were separated / divorced. We got another Portugal goer. Portugal is on everyone's list. I know it's kind of on Adelia's list too. We'll talk about that in a second. But So she decided that she was going to stay with dad. Now, I would have done the same thing. I am a daddy's girl, and anything that mom had to say was no, wrong. So, but then I would fall out with my dad from time to time, and then be crawling back to mom talking about, so what we talking about now, mommy? so she said, what we talking about now, mommy? And she ended up going with you. And how was her experience?
She had the time of her life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely did.
Does she speak Spanish now?
More or less. She was able, her time there counted for 1 year of Spanish for her. And she has continued to communicate with people she met along the way, listening to music in Spanish, that sort of thing.
That's good.
Because when she got her first job at, was it McDonald's or somewhere? She was training other employees in Spanish.
Oh, no. All right. Seriously. Oh, Mom, you've got to be so proud. Come on.
So she's probably not fluent, but
communicative.
functional. Yeah.
Like I wanted fluency, and I have come to realize that I just want to be able to communicate. Can you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Right?
I am still dreaming of fluency. I don't know that it's going to happen, but I'm still hoping.
I heard when you guys were out in Mexico City ordering tacos when they closed down the main street on Sundays, and you guys were out and about. So I heard you ordering it. I heard you ordering. You're a lot better than you would lead people to believe.
I can do what I need to. I furnished an apartment during the pandemic. I have navigated the residency process. I got internet set up, but I don't like to have conversations with people.
I don't like to have conversations with people here.
See, so no, I don't like to do it in English either. But I'm still not to the point where I think in Spanish first. I'm not there yet.
And that's the thing. So there's a couple of words that I do think in Spanish first so far. And and they really are the words that I grew up in San Diego and LA. You guys know that. And so they're the words that I've been saying since I was a child. So was it hard to get residency in Mexico?
Okay. We have to be careful when we use words like hard, easy, cheap. Okay? We have to be careful. But when you compare the process from Mexico to other countries, it is relatively straightforward, and the financial piece from a lot of places, it was a lot lower. That has kind of changed a little bit in the last year because the amount of money you need to prove financial solvency is tied to the Mexican minimum wage. And so when the minimum wage goes up, how much money you need to have goes up as well.
Right. And so I did see that here in Denver. They did up that number because I pulled the information in December, and it was one thing. And then when she sent me, I was like, no, you don't need to send me the information. I got it, girl. And the lady from the embassy was like, or the consulate was like, now let me send you the updated information. And I'm so glad that she did, because, we went with a stack of papers like this. And so Courtney, on our side, we have not finished the process, but we have our permanent residency visas. And then when we get to Mexico, we have to do a canje or exchange or cambiar change of our visas for our green cards. And the reason why we have permanent residency in Mexico is because of the woman who we are talking to right now. I listened to a video.
She can't hear you.
She can't hear. Oh, darn it. And she got to hear this because I'm giving her praise. But anyway, she's going to come back in and I will repeat this. But I listened to a video because this is very important. And I think we've said this before about residency, right? And the difference between residency and citizenship, as well as, how hard it is. Courtney was saying how hard it is. And so we, as you know, we do have our residency visas for Mexico. Compared to the United States, it's easy. I think the United States is probably one of the hardest countries to get residency in. Let us know by nodding your head if you can hear us now.
I can hear you.
Great.
And I would agree that the U.S. is incredibly difficult.
Yeah. And so I literally, guys, here in Denver, at the Colorado consulate, I followed the list. I put everything together that she asked for. And then I looked at Adelia's videos and I added some things. And then I looked at Sheeta's on the Loose video and I added some things. And thank God I did. Because she did need one of the things that I had added that was not on her list. But she gave us permanent residency. And Adelia, we technically did not qualify. How's that for grace?
That is so something.
Right? And so one of the things that you said that stuck with me, you got stuck in China during the pandemic with Mia, her dog. And the Chinese don't really appreciate pets like we do. I'm just going to put it that way. Or like they do in Mexico, right? Frisco's right over there and he's got prime seat and, this is his world. He's El Rey or the king. And so one of the things that she said is that we don't know what the future holds. And if this pandemic has taught us anything, it's that nothing is certain and you can get stuck places. Do you want to be stuck in a place that you don't want to be? And where else can you go? And who has to let you in or basically has to let you in? That was my aha moment.
Right.
We love Mexico, but it was not on our list because I grew up in Southern California. That's like home. But it's not. But it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was brilliant. And when did you come up with, I want residency in more than one country?
That's a good question. Because when I left Mexico in 2018, I had residency, but it was through a work visa. And there was a possibility that I could come back and switch it over and do all of that. So I knew I would come back and get residency in Mexico on my own. But another country, maybe it's always been.
Yeah.
When I decided I would not be returning to the U.S., the thought of I need another passport at least or residency in a couple of countries would be because I needed to have options.
Yes.
Right?
I agree.
The story the harrowing story that you told of trying to get you and Mia out of China during a pandemic when, U.S. Flights were not happening. And in China, they are not about you traveling with a dog. What? No, they're not about that. And so I have listened to that story and I'm thinking, I have an issue when I feel like I'm 100% out of control. And maybe it's the American, you're not the boss of me thing. But even to the point where, like, in an elevator, I have to do some deep breathing, But you gonna tell me I can't do what? I can't go.
And the laws and the enforcement of those laws in China is very arbitrary. I could probably say the thing about Mexico, but I think maybe in China there's an anti-Western, anti-US feel. So I always felt like things could go south and I would be on the receiving end of that. I don't feel that way here in Mexico.
Like what is happening to some of our brothers and sisters in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Because that's no joke. Right? That's no joke. All right. And so one of the things that I think we were starting to delve into when I was talking about my mom getting Puerto Rico and Portugal mixed up, bless her heart. She is college educated, but she don't want her baby to move. I don't live in the same state with her. And so I'm trying to explain to her, I'm still a flight away. Like no matter where we end up, we're still going to be a flight away. So what are the things that people should think about that you don't necessarily, like we think of healthcare, we think of how am I going to pay for stuff. We think about the language, but there's a whole set of psychological, emotional, familial things that one has to deal with to make this move.
You have to be okay with missing things. I was not there when actually I wasn't there when the oldest grandchild was born. I was at graduate school in Oregon. When the second one was born, I was in China. I've missed birthdays, graduations, weddings, because it just wasn't feasible to fly around the world.
Yeah.
And so you have to be okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, one of the other things that I have been trying to manage my expectations with is a feeling of isolation when you don't know the language. And there's a good part about not knowing what folks are saying too around you. There are some good parts of that too, and I really enjoyed that when we were outside of the country. Like, I don't know what they're saying. You turn on the news and it's like, look, oh gosh, what? I don't know. Everything's good in my world. But on the other hand, and you ran into this, especially with the food.
It wasn't the food, it was the coffee.
What about the coffee?
They had foo-foo coffee. I don't do foo-foo. you know, I guess I'm a coffee snob when I don't like, what is it that everybody has an espresso machine?
Oh yeah, espresso.
That drove me nuts.
Adelia, we were searching at McDonald's just for a McCoffee.
They lied.
They don't have McCoffee.
Ask for coffee Americano.
Oh, that's just watered down espresso.
Oh.
It's like, I want real coffee. I don't want watered down espresso. Because everybody said Americano. I was like, nope, don't want it.
It wasn't until we got on the cruise ship nearly 3-4 weeks later that he was like,
Yeah, real coffee.
So okay, the sycophant is coming out of me. So Adelia does not drink coffee. She is a hot chocolate drinker. And so she's like, okay, Americano sounds good to me.
That's what I always thought when I see Americano on the menu. I thought it was.
Yeah, it's just watered down espresso.
Yeah, it's espresso. And if you don't like dark, rich coffee, which he does like, it ain't gonna work. And so there's all of these little things when you move out of the country, the creature comforts, the getting your coffee, the getting your hair care products, getting grits. You don't like grits. I love grits.
But the grits thing. That's huge.
The grits is huge.
So I hear.
So there are Facebook groups dedicated to finding the grits. And so a lady bought white popcorn and ground it up in her grinder and made grits.
That ain't grits.
That is grits.
Technically it is.
Technically it is. Right? So I'm like, okay. So there's the isolation of, and you moved by yourself. Sorry guys, the helicopter, let me close this. is what I used to hear in LA. Whoop whoop, always.
But that's a Army helicopter.
That's an Army helicopter?
Yeah.
Okay, he would know.
Big difference.
Anyway, the isolation, you moved by yourself, the isolation of, you don't have your tribe. You don't have a tribe, and if you're alone and you don't speak the language, or like you do speak the language, but say you don't.
That's now. When I got here, I didn't. When I moved to Honduras, I didn't speak Spanish.
So what was that like?
You know, when people have a corporate relocation, they pay for everything, they pack your house, they help you find an apartment, all of that. I was working at a very small international school. They did help me find an apartment. There was always someone I could call who spoke English.
Okay.
When I came to Mexico, I came on my own, no job. So I had to figure out, how do you find an apartment? What are the rules for like documentation, utilities? Like I had to figure out everything, and I did miss that I took it for granted what I had in Honduras.
I think we take for granted what we do in our everyday lives, right? Like if somebody says, I need to find an apartment in Denver, I know what to do. I know what to say, where to tell them what to do. And also the system, because see, here in the United States, folks, we have the multi-listed system, MLS, whatever that stands for, which basically has every single house that is for sale, maybe rent to, I don't know about the rent, but at least for sale. So, and then we have a similar thing for rent. That does not exist in a lot of other countries. It doesn't exist in Mexico, right?
No.
And so I'm getting the feeling that it's kind of like being a new adult again. Like when you're...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're learning everything all over.
Like the washer machine. I remember...
In Spain.
Right? We were trying to figure out in Spain. So because we do Airbnbs. And so in Madrid, they had a washer dryer combo thing. And that oh, good. Now we can wash our clothes. We didn't pack light. We have 4 suitcases. Don't do that, folks. Do not.
Yeah, we
do
learned
that.
how to do that.
We were shipping stuff to DHL. We threw away a suitcase. I mean,
money. It just cost so much money.
Oh my God. We paid $200 extra. It was too heavy. I wasted a day searching for DHL. And then, anyway. So the washer dryer. I never could figure it out. And then I'm reading the manual that he left, which of course is in Spanish. And I'm pulling out my Google Translate because, I do know some technology. So I'm pulling out the Google Translate and I'm feeling like a kid.
Yeah.
All over
You have to
again.
learn
Like,
all over again.
how do you write a checkbook? How do you balance a check? Like, how do you learn how to be adult? So how do you deal with that? What type of here's a better question. What type of person should not move out of the country?
The kind of person who, when things don't go as they hope, as they expect, can't roll with that. Because more often than not, things will not go to plan. And so you have to be able to kind of like think on your feet and not get caught up in like this is how it was supposed to go.
Right.
If you get caught up in that, you'd be miserable.
Yeah. So managing expectations.
Yeah.
As someone who has control issues, if you couldn't tell by the series of emails that I sent you, this I'm looking at this opportunity as an opportunity to grow. It
will definitely be that.
And also to stave off senility, because to me, like if you're creating new synapses and learning new things all the time, because I'm not young like you. Like I got a decade on you. Like I said, you're young enough to be at least my stepdaughter. So, we got some stuff to do and some places to see. How many countries have you been to?
Not quite 50. So somewhere in the high 40s, but I don't know exactly.
Wow. And so, okay, so we talked about China, we talked about Honduras, we talked about Mexico. Let's travel to the Middle East. I remember my freshman year in college, I met this young man. Was he in grad or undergrad? I can't remember. I was a freshman. He was from this little country that I had not heard of called Kuwait. And to hear him tell it, the sun did rise and set over Kuwait. Everything revolved around Kuwait. And when I was talking about World War II, he says, oh, no. That was not World War II. That was the European tribal wars. So I was like, oh, okay. As a Black woman who know that this country does not respect the continent of my ancestors, I can appreciate that. But now that I've heard your story, it takes on a different light. So tell us about Kuwait.
I took a job in Kuwait primarily because Middle Eastern schools pay more and because of the travel opportunities. Because geographically, you can get lots of places really quickly.
That's true.
But I knew that many of the schools there were a shit show. I knew that before I went. I also knew that, particularly with boys, classroom management could be a challenge. Let's just put it that way. So I had been assured that I would be teaching girls.
Okay.
But when I arrived, I was teaching boys.
They flipped the script.
Middle school boys. You think American middle school boys are bad. They have nothing on little Arab boys who are wealthy, who see you, the teacher, as the hired help. No one really gets to tell them what to do except their father. So there's that piece of my work environment was a mess. But even living in Kuwait, Kuwaitis are very proud people. They love their country, and they don't really have any use for foreigners other than to provide labor. So it's sort of, you're there begrudgingly. You're there because they don't want to work, because they don't have to work, because they get royalties from oil. Okay. The very few Kuwaitis who actually do work in like public service, this is one of the reasons their budgets are always unbalanced, is because if a Kuwaiti is going to work a job, they are going to demand an insane salary. The vast majority of the people who worked in any store, in any bank, they're foreigners, come there to provide labor. So when you contrast that with my experience in Latin America, where I was welcomed, where people were happy I was there, they wanted to know my story, and in Kuwait, pretty much everybody's looking down their nose at all of us. Didn't matter, maybe because I had a U.S. passport, they didn't quite look down on me as much as they did, let's say, the guy who worked at Marble Slab from Nepal. But it was not welcoming.
Yeah. And so, as I said, once I heard your story, I looked at my experience with my student colleague in a whole different light. So Courtney wants to know, do you still teach?
Not in the same way. I teach about finances to adults. I do not teach in K-12 anymore.
Right. And so you were able to retire early. A lot of folks who are listening have never heard of the FIRE movement or FI, or this concept of not working until you're 65. You are still very, very young. You can tell by the glow of her skin. she's still got the young dewy glow. So you're too young to be retired, Miss Adelia.
Says some people. It was unintentional. When I left the U.S., I figured I would continue to teach and just, move to a different country every couple of years. But when things did not go to plan in Honduras, I didn't find a new job. I came to Mexico and was like, we'll take a year. Maybe this is a sabbatical. Maybe this is an early retirement.
Okay, you hear that, folks? She took a year because she had it like that. But there were choices, there were decisions that you made that allowed you to have it like that.
Yeah. Before I left the U.S., my savings rate was probably like 25-30%.
Okay.
I had made a decision to prioritize travel.
Okay.
So there was money going for that, and then money into my Roth IRA. Because I was a public school teacher, didn't have a 401k, the 403b option sucked.
Yeah.
And when I left, I no longer had to present. Now, let me say this. I took a 60% pay cut to go to Honduras.
Oh.
So really,
Let that sink in. You took a 60% pay cut to go teach in Honduras.
yes, nobody comes to Latin America for the money. But I wanted to learn Spanish. So I was making in Honduras what I had made my first year out of undergrad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But because I did not have any debt, there weren't debt payments that I needed to make. I won't really say that the cost of living was less in Honduras. I thought it was going to be. But what I did not understand is that very little is made there. Sort of like living on an island. Everything has to be imported. But I didn't have to pay rent. I no longer had a car note because my employer paid my rent. I wasn't having to pay. Now, if I'd have had to pay tuition for my child, that would have been half my paycheck. So I didn't have to worry about that. So I saved about 50% of my salary in Honduras. And then when I worked in China, I bumped that up to probably about 80%.
Whoa. We never got up that high. 50%. So she started, when she got serious, she said 50% in Honduras. And we're doing a video called The Power of 50%. There is power in that 50%, right? Once you get there and to the other side. But 80% in China, how were you able to do that?
I didn't have to pay rent. I paid for my cell phone and for food. The cost of living in China significantly lower than in the U.S. And as long as you don't get caught up in like shopping, because that's easy to do because you buy things cheaply in China.
Yeah.
Right.
But considering that today is April 24th and it's Fashion Revolution Day, which commemorates the building collapse at a factory at Rana Plaza in Bangladesh, which highlighted, the poor working conditions, that when you buy clothing that's very cheap, it's because somebody's not getting paid a whole lot. I had already been making all of my clothes by then. So I was not seduced by Taobao and all of the cheap stuff.
Right.
So I still traveled, but I basically said I have this goal of saving this percentage of my salary by the end of the year. I figured out what that was every month. I pulled that off the top. And so whatever I did, going to the movies, going out to eat, traveling, had to come from what was left.
I love it. I love it. Well, we have covered a lot. And Ron said, I'm sorry I'm joining a little late. Where's Adelia living now? She is living in, I'm going to let her describe it. So for any others who are joining late, because this place, one of my best friends, Derek Cotton, went to grad school in the place where she is living now. And when he said that, I was like, oh, okay, have fun. I didn't even think about it. It never made my list as much as I have been to Mexico. This city never made my list. But now it is at the top of my list because of the CDMX crew. So where are you, Adalia?
I am in Mexico City.
And what is so great about Mexico City?
Normally the weather, although climate change is starting to mess with that a little bit. It's normally we pretty much have fall weather year round. The food, even though I am a picky eater, there's still lots of options to me. And then in the culture, the museums, the most museums of any place in the world, there is always something to do here. The vibe is just incredible.
There are some things, I refer to her as the CDMX crew because there are 3 women that have been instrumental in speeding up our move abroad, in helping us speed up our move abroad, because the plan was already in place. That's how we found them. And then listening, because, Black women, come on now, we're going to figure the stuff out and then we're going to share it. And so the CDMX crew is Stephanie Perry, even though she's never lived there. And she is on the loose. Sheeta Dowd, she is on the loose. And of course, Adelia Aborisade of the Picky Girl Travels podcast and Picky Girl Travels the World YouTube channel. So we're going to wrap it up because we've been talking for an hour and a half. An hour and a half. And I could keep going. I really could. So let me say some sycophancy things before. I've been saying that word a lot, but it's true. I have been thinking about this interview for at least 2 weeks, all the questions that I'm going to ask, and then rewatching videos and blah, blah, blah. And so because this is like Good Morning America in my world.
And I knew that she was going to do that. That's why I've been sitting here quietly, because it's like, hey, y'all have y'all sister girl talk, Do
your thing. I have the best husband in the world. He is my biggest cheerleader. I am so blessed. I am so fortunate. And, he comes up with the ideas. And he says, all right, baby, you the smart one, figure it out. and between the two of us, we get the stuff figured out. I have no idea how.
And Adelia, I hear your name. I hear Stephanie's name. Oh, and such and such. And they said this. And I'm like, who? Who are we talking about? So, I'm lurking in the morning. I'm always lurking in the background, watching her watch the videos, watching her on the live chats and everything like that. And, she tells me about it. And then I followed I followed a couple of the stories that you had on with the 3 ladies that were traveling and stuff like that. So I was familiar on the insurance thing and the hospitalization thing, and that was fantastic.
Yes.
And everybody,
I really think everybody needs to watch that video.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. It opened my eyes up to a lot. And I was like, Wow.
Yes.
Wow. This
Yes.
is something that everybody that even thinks about moving abroad needs to see.
Yes, or even long-term travel,
Long-term travel,
etc.
everything.
Right.
Yes.
So, Adelia, if you want to send me the link to that video, I will definitely put it in the description for those who are watching in the replay, and so all of that will show up. Adelia, as she said, as a school teacher, is now financially independent, and I say coast-fi. And, so I describe coast-fi as you no longer have to save for retirement because you've got enough money in there that's making money for you. And so you're just kind of covering expenses as you will. Debt's gone, consumer debt is gone. When I say consumer debt, credit card debt is gone. Girl, I got called on using the word consumer debt. A mortgage is consumer debt. Yes, I know that. High interest.
I don't consider a mortgage.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't either, but
but
when
it
you're
is.
talking to some men and they want to mansplain you. My husband does not do that.
No, somebody else had said it.
Good husband. So the CDMX crew, of which Adelia is a part of, for those women who are watching who are thinking, yeah, but I'm not married like you, Halisi. How am I going to do this? Adelia is not married either, and she has done it. She hosts a group for solo women travelers. Tell us about that.
I do. It is called Picky Girls Travel Solo, and it is for new, experienced solo travelers, women who are thinking about moving abroad. If you are contemplating traveling alone, if you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do, you want to connect with some more sisters and are like, I need help, then that's the group for you.
And these Facebook groups, the Black Facebook groups, have been so helpful. The white Facebook groups or the generic Facebook groups are helpful for information, but they're not friendly for newcomers, I found. So if you ask a newbie question, they will jump on you and be sarcastic and rude. But I have found, and I am in Adelia's Facebook group, even though I'm not single, because I'm about to do some black girl. Thank you.
But you may want to travel
alone, right? I'm about to do some black girl meetups. And yes, I have traveled for work solo. So why is this any different, right?
It's not.
It's not, but it feels different. It feels different for some reason, maybe because there's no agenda set by somebody else. I don't know. So if you're one of those people, join her group. Make sure that your picture shows who you are. Yeah. Because otherwise it may take a while to get black person who identifies as a woman. Great. And then if they need your help, perhaps moving to Mexico, getting their finances straight. We do the same thing, but we're about collaboration, and everybody has to go with what jives with them, what style. I'm gonna tell you some of the stuff that we teach I stole from Adelia, like the hell nah and the hell yeah. When you look in my Ally Bank account, which I got from Adelia, Ally Bank, I have my buckets, and I have my hell yeah bucket and my hell nah bucket. And I got that from Adelia. What is hell yeah and hell nah? What is that?
Your hell yes money is, because I believe in staying ready so you don't have to get ready.
I didn't say hell yes. I said hell yeah.
Your hell yeah money. So your girls message you and they're like, Carnival is back on in Brazil. I got a flight deal. Let's book it. You can immediately say hell yeah, because you've already put the money aside to cover that. You don't have to think about it. What we definitely don't want you to do is to have to go into credit card debt so that you can go.
Right.
So for whatever the priorities are in your life, I teach about pre-planning those expenses and putting the money there ahead of time so that when stuff comes up, you can go.
South Africa was put on a credit card. We paid it off. That was 2009. It was paid off in 2015.
Oh my.
How much interest?
Several times.
How much interest? I don't know. I don't want to calculate. I don't want to calculate. Now I have a hell yeah bucket, and I don't have to do that anymore because I listen to Adelia. All right. So we're going to close this out. Thank you so much. I'm going to let her give all of her pitch of how you can follow her, both her podcast and on YouTube. But before we do that, I want to tell you, we did a video called The Best Countries or the Best Cities, right?
Best cities.
For Black folks to retire to. And so we think that you should watch that next. Now that you know how to move abroad, now that you know all of the things that you need to think about, and you know who you can contact if you need help with that, now you need to know where. So you can watch that video next. We also have coming up our spring spending cleanup challenge. This is our spring spending cleanup challenge, where we talk about how looking at our finances, going through it, analyzing, seeing how we're spending our money so that we can start saving our hell yeah and hell no money and get to that 50% savings rate. So that's coming up May 6th, and I will put that in the description below. So how can people follow you, Adelia?
On most social media, I am Picky Girl Travels. My YouTube channel is Picky Girl Travels the World. There are videos about finances, about solo travel, about living abroad. The Picky Girl Travels podcast is, I was going to say specifically for Black women, but there are people who listen to it who are not Black women. But it is about figuring out and finding the courage to live life on your own terms.
I love it.
What else do I have? We mentioned the Facebook group, Picky Girls Travel Solo.
I'm also putting your Move Abroad checklist in the chat once more.
Yes. The Move Abroad checklist is free. You just have to give me your email, but you get a categorized checklist that covers pretty much everything you need in order to start planning your move abroad. I do host a monthly membership for women, Black or non-white. You don't have to be Black, but I focus my energy and sharing what I know for underserved communities. And in the monthly membership, we discuss and we learn about all these different financial topics. I am not a financial advisor. I don't give financial advice, but I help you get to the point that you are more confident about your finances and can then move on and make decisions you are comfortable with.
I love it. So, Art, she's in Mexico City. We are going to close out. I love it. I have learned so much from you.
Yes.
I am so appreciative. Thank you with the technical difficulties and everything else. And so, hey, you know what? See, God is in charge. And you said the universe tends to unfold as it should. And that's my way of saying God's in charge. Whatever, first of all, if you have any last questions, you better get it in. Don't leave here with a question about how to move abroad and not drop it in the chat. But the universe unfolds as it should. And I think everything that we were supposed to talk about, we talked about. I have not met Adelia in real life, but I will meet her in July.
Yeah.
And I am
looking forward to
so excited. She has gotten me excited about sewing again. I'm a picky girl too. I was the girl. I have a picture of me we're going to close out. But I do have a picture of me when I was like 3 years old, crying with my birthday cake because I just wanted the icing and not the cake. So I was that picky girl in my house. But Mama Vincent, I would fall asleep over my plate. Mama Vincent did not play that. She said, you will eat all of your vegetables or you will get a spanking. So Mom, if you're listening, thank you. I'm healthy today because of it, maybe? I don't know. I'm still picky. I am still picky, but you have resurrected my love for sewing. And so, yes, I went and got some fabric yesterday, girlfriend. I did. Pulled out all my old fabric that I was about to give away. I'm not going to give it away now. So now that, you have taught us how we can live life on our own terms. One of the things is getting back to my hobbies. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. Your reach, your touch is so much further than you know. And some of the people who are in the chat have learned from you through us.
That's also awesome.
Right? So thank you. We're gonna sign off. Thank you, Adelia, Aborisade. Piggy Girl travels the world. We are Halisi and
Ric of our Black Utopia. And if you've got some value out of this, give it a thumbs up.
yes.
And subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, also hit that notification bell so you can be alerted when we drop a new video. Hit a like if you haven't liked us yet, and we will see you every Sunday at 1:30 live. That's Mountain Time, 1:30 Mountain Time live. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Adelia.
Bye, Adalia. Thank you.